Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sikh Monologues. This is the fourth production of the Sikh Monologues, and the first in New York and the first in the East Coast. So I'm really excited to be here tonight. But before the show begins, I would like to explain a little bit about what the Sikh Monologues project is. Everyone has a story. Everyone wears their thoughts and experiences and words with them like a badge of honor. Because that's exactly what it should be, a badge of honor. And the Sikh Monologues Project gives us the rare opportunity to hear voices of Sikhs across America, lives across America, the fears, concerns, and unfettered passion that are here. It began with a simple idea. What if Sikhs could tell their own stories? What if there's a platform for them to speak, to reflect, to share themselves, their own voices? What if media didn't get to dictate everything we stand for, believe in, and look like? The answers to these questions came simple. Listen, go out there and record Sikh stories. What makes you anxious? What does love mean? What does it mean to call the guru your guru? So I traveled for 4 months. I interviewed 150 Sikhs across 15 states. I now know my way around 20 gurdwaras, around any career field you might be interested in. All you have to do is ask. But before I move on, I would Webster's Dictionary, a monologue is a long speech made by one person that prevents anyone else from interrupting. And although tonight you will hear several pieces performed by more than one person. I adopted the term for this project because monologues are a means of telling stories. And tonight you will hear several stories from the people that I met and the experiences that they've had in this country. You will hear from children of diaspora navigating two cultures and one religion in a country that is home but not homeland. You will hear from a man who is asking us all to show a little love, and from a woman who decided to value her faith above everything else. Tonight is about their stories. Everything you hear is based on fact, whether it's one person or 50. Every single piece and every single story you hear on stage tonight has been directly influenced by real people and their experiences here in America. However, I would also like us to recognize that I have attempted to showcase a diversity of the Sikh experience, but I do not in any way claim to represent everyone. And with that, just before we begin, please turn off your cell phones. I would really appreciate it. This is a small stage or a small theater, so we can hear everything. And just out of respect for the actors, because they've been working incredibly hard to share with you and bring these stories alive. Second, can we all practice our snapping? Cool. So if you hear something tonight that speaks to you, that you agree with, that you identify with, please snap. Because these stories that you hear on stage are as much about you and the subject of the community as it is about the people here telling the stories. And lastly, I want you to keep in mind that these are not the actor's stories. Again, these are stories that I wrote and collated based on experiences and based on the interviews, but these are not the actor's stories. We begin with something fundamental. What is Sikhism? What brings this group of people together? I would ask young children this around the nation, 6 years to 13 or 14. And this first piece answers that question without the politics, without interpretation, but through the innocent perception of the child.
Thinking, like, what do I think of it? Well, I've always known that Sikh means disciple or learner, and that we believe in the Taboos and the website, and all of the other standards you have. More? Well, I don't know what else to say. I mean, I guess it's about how to be closer to Wagyu and how to get rid of ego, and also other teachings, especially respect. Respect's my number one thing. And it's just after seeing so many uneducated people, educating them's a really great feeling, to tell them something new. But I also like to hear about them too. And I like how we're open-minded like that, because we don't try to convert anyone or anything. I guess it has played a big role in my life, considering the fact that we're different in society. We stand out in society because of our identity, because of who we are, because of what our background is. It's a different way to look at situations, because even if I face hard things, I know that people died for me to have this freedom. For us to be here today, people paid a price. And that's really scary, but also really awesome. And that's why I want to be a Sikh. Oh, and Seva. Seva's another big thing in my life. Every Friday, we come to the Gurdwara and serve food to people in the area. It's called a food pantry. Different people come in, and they get really happy when we serve them food, which makes me really happy. Just helping people. And I think that comes from Sikhi too. Oh, and I guess there's Punjabi school. I guess I like. They taught us about Guru Nanak and Sikh history and Punjabi, reading it and writing it, and yeah, I guess I like that. Being Sikh means a lot to me. We come to Gurdwara every Friday. All my friends are here. They teach me and keep me safe. My friends at Gurdwara are like my brothers and sisters because we can share anything that happens. And we see each other every weekend. I can identify more with my Sikh community because we can share anything. I identify with them better than my friends at school. We share the same beliefs and go through the same stuff if someone has problems. It's more like family than friends, actually. And I think that's it, but I just want to say that I really want to follow Sikhi because it's really hard to be born in a Sikh family, and I'm really proud that I am.
Sikhs have been immigrating to the United States since the 1890s with peak waves in the 1960s and 80s. Leaving home requires risk, determination, and tremendous amounts of hope. Sometimes the journeys are straightforward, but more often than not, they're convoluted and messy. I met men and women who came from Nicaragua, Lebanon, and Germany. They came in the backs of cars covered by blankets to cross borders. Young engineers came to this country and had to learn a new social language, had to dress for an interview, where to buy groceries. Young wives experienced intense loneliness. School teachers came here and worked at gas stations to make ends meet. That story of landing in a new country with a few dollars in your pocket and no support system is a real story told to me over and over again throughout my travels. You never know where you'll end up. You never know what you'll have to compromise upon, what beliefs you'll have to compromise upon. You never know what decisions you'll have to make. This next piece is about a child of immigration.
It is the morning of June 3rd, 2009, a Sunday. The sun shines through the kitchen windows, kissing my dadima's golden brown skin as she makes aloo pranta and scrambled eggs in the kitchen. My Babaji sits confidently at the head of the table, mixing 2 packets of equal into his morning chai. I smile at the scene. Inhaling the picturesque moment, this is all I've ever known, family. Home-cooked food to comfort my belly as daylight dances on our white tiles. The warmth and wisdom of eyes that have seen so much more than high school locker rooms and Harry Potter movie premieres. We have a history, realities that ink in my pen can handle. Sometimes I wonder if I wouldn't even be here if it were not, Sometimes I wonder if I'm simply a product of how messed up this world can be. If I would not even be here if it were not for the refugee narrative of my grandparents, that my privilege is somehow justified by their past. It doesn't always sit right with me. The way my dadima can make anything taste just a little sweeter because she's battled bitter pains her entire life. How my father's suffering made it possible for me to thrive. I now understand why appreciation was one of the first words he ever taught me to value. Appreciate this life. Appreciate the television sets, PlayStation games, and laptops all at your fingertips. Soak in the warm water as it runs freely down your back and allow the fresh air to caress your skin as you run across heat-kissed blades of grass. They cushion your feet as you play kickball in the back. Thank you for this life. This life that grew from the crackles in my grandfather's hands and the blisters in my grandmother's feet, from the sweat that trickled down my mother's neck as she worked her father's job in Punjab. This life that didn't seem possible in 1972 when my grandparents' fathers and chacha were forced out of their home countries. Idi Amin overthrew Uganda's government, becoming just another statistic of ethnic cleansing, unaware of where they would flee or how they would build their lives again. This life that stemmed from the decades of loneliness and defeat, from the empty pockets which entered this country and the 12-hour workdays that have built this life. I watched my brother hop around on one foot, avoiding the cracks that will supposedly break our mother's back. Ironically, Her backbone is what has kept us from breaking for so long, but he does not realize that. I wonder when he will no longer think about whether to avoid cracked tiles or not. He will simply walk across the roots our family is planted into the solid, strong ground. My grandparents' smiles always so convincing. My parents constantly shielding us from the problems they had to endure. The roof always fits over our heads like it was custom made for the both of us, and all we knew were stories.
This next piece is about love, and it's about that unadulterated hope that young men and women have when they imagine the love they could have for themselves.
She can't be too interfering because I like my independence. But I would want someone who respects whatever I respect and share the same values. Values are important. Respect, understanding.
I want someone who can keep up with me, offer me support no matter what my goals are. The plan right now is to finish up my master's and then head back to North Carolina to find a job.
I think I want them to be Indian. I know my mother prefers her to be Sikh. Well, my father, he doesn't say much. I prefer at least brown. Actually, I think I want them to be Sikh. Just because I love my Sikh and I want that to continue in the family. Also, I believe this shared upbringing will only help us in the future.
I want someone who's creative because that opens your life up to so many more things. It makes you more open-minded and innovative. And I think relationships really need that freshness.
Someone who's family-oriented, because let's be real, we're Indian. It's never just two people getting married. It's the entire family. Whether one is from Chandigarh and the other from Ohio, every single family member finds a way to play a role.
I want someone who's had similar experiences in their upbringing. I want my kids to be exposed to Sikhi. Now, whether they choose to follow it or not, I still want them to be exposed to it, which is why I can see myself with someone Punjabi. That idea of continuity, how in a marriage it's not just two people, but two families coming together.
And they have to be honest.
And funny, I hope.
I know it's a lot, but it's not like a checklist or anything.
Just some things I've thought about.
You see, I want a friend in this life. Love matters, but after love, friendship is the most important.
I'm just hoping I don't get bored. I mean, I have to spend the rest of my life with this person. The rest of my life. I just hope we can get along. That part scares me the most.
I met someone a few months ago. Well, not exactly met, but we met. We grew up together. We used to go to these really sick camps. And we used to hang out 2 or 3 times a year. But then I went to college, so we kind of lost the touch.
Well, I was visiting my uncle in Houston and went to a family friend's party. And that's when I saw him again, for the first time in years. I'd forgotten how well we got along as 15, 16-year-olds just running around at camp. His name is Sean. After the party, he talked to his mom, and his mom talked to my uncle, and now, well, I guess we're talking.
Honestly, I don't know what to think. She's this crazy adventurer, and, well, I'm just a homebody.
He doesn't like art. I mean, he appreciates what I paint, but can't stand it if I ask him to look at someone else's work.
She wears this really heavy eyeliner, and it makes her look raccoonish sometimes.
His mouth is slightly open.
And she always wants to split the bill.
But he always remembers my mom's birthday.
And she's totally okay with me having my own time on Sunday.
It really makes me question, should I really be worrying about all these important checklist items, or does personality matter more? Should I just settle?
It doesn't feel like I'm settled.
I don't know what I'm going to do this checklist now. get into the honors program in high school. So I did. When I was in high school, I was told, get a high SAT score. So I could get into a good college. So I did. When I was in college, I was told, get a high GPA. So I could get a good job. And so I did. When I got a good job, I was told, you need to find you a good husband. And so they did. Soy na, Facebook tu kone ko, tengo que mame de estado de monegi for not. When I was married, I was told, now double your size. And so I did. When out came a girl, I was told, complete the family, have a vida. So I said, if you wanted a cattle to control, try the farms of the happy cows of California. Just before introducing this, you can clap too. But I'm just snapping my words down. One of the 5 articles of the Sikh faith is keeping kesh or hair. Additionally, our 10th Guru bestowed upon us the crown of the turban. It was a means of keeping head hair clean, but it was also a means of making the statement that the turban is not exclusive to royalty, that we as human beings are born equal. The turban has thus become a symbol of human equality as well as the Sikh identity. Sikh women often struggle with the concept of keeping all hair and with the decision of whether or not to wear the star, the turban. This next piece is based on several conversations with women and their decisions regarding hair. This is why I don't shave my legs. Take a look. Take a nice, good look. Not your normal vision of drop dead gorgeous, is it? Well, lucky for me, I just had to fall in love with how I can run my hand through my hair. It's soft and smooth and airy, and there's never a chance of growing stubble to make this experience anything less than perfect. My underarms, I'm not as much of a fan of that. I sweat after 2 minutes of any kind of exercise, including brisk walking. So the collection of aromas that nest in the hairs of my underarms is often not so ideal, but I can deal with it. I've found men's deodorant to be a very powerful friend. Perhaps the best part for the money-conscious self within me is the approximately $120 I get to save every month by not ascribing to waxing services, or the 3 hours of shower time I get to skip out on by not having to shave anything, ever. It wasn't always like this, though. It's not like I have no awareness of the outside world and the perfect packages that women's bodies should look like. I guess the first time it kind of came up was when we had some class in middle school, the time when everyone's hormones kicked in, and all of a sudden, libidos are raging, forcing people to decide what was hot and what was not. I remember sitting there looking at my legs, my hairy legs, hairy hands, everything. And all the other girls were like perfectly smooth. I could hear snickers of guys commenting about my hair. I could feel my hair burning on my legs. I just generally did not understand why I couldn't shave my legs or couldn't cut my hair and things like that. So that's when it kind of hit me hardcore. And I got home that day and I just broke down and asked my mom why I just couldn't do it. My mom hugged me. She told me that I'm a Sikh God, that I'm stronger than my tears. She told me that I could get through this, that she loves me, that the Gurus love me. She told me to go back to school the next day with confidence. She also told me that if I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin, she wouldn't stop me. She said to reconsider in 1 week. So I went back the next day, and each day after. 1 week later, my mom asks me if I still want to shave my legs. No, I said. I'm a Sikh God. I'm stronger than that. You love me, the Gurus love me. She smiled. My dastard, my turban, was a totally different story. The more beautiful I started to feel with the hair on my skin, the more I started thinking about the hair on my head. I started to feel more of a connection to the idea of holding an external identity, to the thoughts and feelings and love for the Sikh faith that was growing within me. Around that time, I went to a Sikh camp over the summer. I decided to start tying the dastard at camp. Not tying it myself, but asking other people to tie it on me. I remember one night asking one of my counselors to tie it on me 3 different ways before finding the style that made me feel secure and satisfied my inner diva. I felt like a superstar walking around camp that week, proudly wearing my dastard, and very thankful that I didn't have to worry about my juni falling off every 2 minutes. My Sunday, my community was supportive. I felt on top of the world. It felt so good to feel whole, to feel like my outside matched my inside. When I got home, though, my parents were anything but happy. My mom was a little hurt. She felt like I would have talked to her about such a huge decision before doing it. I know I should have. My dad became seriously concerned about my prospects for marriage, as if my only purpose in life is to get married. I didn't understand it. He was the one who pushed me to go to med school, to have my independence, to be self-sufficient. But he's also always wanted me to settle down with someone, to stake my roots somewhere. And he thought my dastard would weaken my chances of that. He didn't have any of these concerns for my brother, who also wears a turban. A Sikh male wearing a turban and a Sikh girl not shaving her legs or choosing to wear a turban should was no one asking me if my new external features correlated with a more developed inner morality, a closeness to my faith. Why did nobody care about that? I didn't grow up thinking I would tie this on. It just kind of happened. And it feels right. And I would rather feel right with myself than hold back just to find a husband, or just to please my parents' idea of a beautiful woman. In the end, I know I'll be okay. I do care about how I look. I've perfected the smoky eye. I realize my body's pear-shaped and always dress accordingly. I work out 4 times a week, partly to stay healthy, but also to maintain in vanity the way I look. I wear this style because that's when I feel most beautiful. It's so much more than a piece of cloth on my head. It's my ticket to confidence, to identity, to feeling whole. It's my way of expressing my inner feminist, my way of saying no to accepted beauty standards, to the hairless, smooth, light-skinned woman. I live in a world where I am sovereign. I decide what's beautiful based on how I feel, not how I look. And right now, I feel like a queen.
This next piece takes us through the real, unedited experiences of women and men across America. What you will hear are direct quotes from men and women of all ages in response to questions about discrimination and negativity that they have felt. You stand out no matter what.
There was always a feeling that I was different. People used to not exactly stare, but I would feel it.
One time in 3rd grade, someone cut my hair because, actually, I don't know why. I came home crying. I felt sad.
I wear a turban. That does not mean I beat up my wife. I have a beard. That does not mean I cannot sit amongst two people and have decent conversation. I look like this. It does not mean I can only work at 7-Eleven. It does not mean I can only drive a cab.
There is a severe want of identity. Like, what is a Sikh? What does it really mean? There was this girl in high school who said it was disgusting that I didn't cut my hair. And that's why she wouldn't be my friend.
There's a slight difference when you fly by plane and you talk to your air hostess, she talks to a white person. There is a slight difference. Either you learn to accept this difference and don't worry about it, or you complain. I have never complained. It is a part of life.
I was in downtown and this kid comes over and asks me, "Are you gonna blow up this building?" I was on the phone and I asked him to wait a second. So he says, "Oh, are you really?" I think he was just messing around. He went inside the coffee shop. I went in after him asking what he wanted. I think he got really scared. He ran out. It was funny to me.
One time in college, this guy was pointing at me. Kind of like, look at that girl. Look at her face.
I was a professor. Sometimes when I would walk into the classroom, the first reaction of the students would be sort of shocked. Like, who's this guy in the turban? In the beginning, even some of the professors would ask, "Hey, Just, when are you going back?"
I've gone staring at the gym. I've gotten looks because of the hair on my legs. But I have to brush it off. If it wasn't my hair, it would be something else.
People would look at me funny. He's in high school. He looks like he's in his 20s. Why is he still in high school? So I started trimming it down.
There are three categories of people: biased, misinformed, and uninformed. We have to look out for people that are biased. Misinformed and uninformed, they are people that want to know something. But biased people, they don't want to know anything. They just want to get into an argument. I was scared for my brother. I don't think girls get ridiculed as much as boys do, so I was scared and nervous for what he is going to face when he grows up.
They perceive me as Muslim. The first thing they get into my cab is when they ask me, "Are you Muslim?"
I was called terrorist.
Foreigner.
Osama.
Security breach. As if it's okay to describe anyone like this.
Politically, we aren't even on their radar.
They told my son that the other kids told my son that long hair is not for guys and that it's for girls. So he started acting like a girl.
Discrimination is everywhere in this world. Everywhere, and every side.
I cut my hair because I was the only guy with a putka on at the time. Maybe if we had ever seen other kids with putkas on, it would have been easier. My mom cut my hair at the house for a long time. The teasing stopped.
I think it is hard for American parents. I think it is hard for immigrant parents to see their children as American. But what were you thinking when you came to a new country? They aren't going to carry the old country with them.
I think people are more forgiving in terms of accepting color, but when it comes to the turban, they're totally not accepting.
My public image, I guess my reputation, I worry how people will perceive me, how they will look at me.
I was maybe 12 or 13 when I stopped going to church. I just kind of got burned out. I started searching for other things. That's when I found Sikh. I was afraid. I know where to draw the line, but I was still afraid. I didn't want others to think less of me if they found out I was out dancing, partying, or something else.
When things happened on 9/11, I was in Ohio. The office people used to call me and say, "You should start wearing a cap. You shouldn't wear a turban." Then my wife told me to do this too. For a few weeks I did, but then I went back. At the time, I was wearing a small turban, which actually looked like a Taliban turban. They were just trying to look out for me.
My dad used to work at a gas station, and he was in the United States for 20 years before he was shot. My dad and uncle died at the same time in Berkeley. My biological son was in India, and when it happened, he was only 7 months old, and he had never seen his dad.
you will never see this death.
I don't think the summit fully understood the impacts of the shootings, to tell you the truth. To them, it's just another Gurdwara. They come every Sunday, they do their usual stuff. For them, it's not home. It hit hard for the people who were born and raised in America, who think that they're American, who feel that they're American.
2004, I was getting my boarding pass and walking away from the counter. These were the days when you could now print out your own boarding pass at home. So the guy gives me my boarding pass, and then he calls me back, and he's got this look on his face, and he says, "Sir, by the way, I have a different boarding pass for you." He gives me the new one. It has a big X on the side of it. He says that the computer randomly selected me for additional screening. I knew what he was doing.
They started calling me French boy because of my long hair. It used to bug me a lot. I didn't even tell my teachers about it. To be honest, I didn't even know what bullying was, but I think that was the first form of it that I actually experienced.
I was studying at Borders and going to use the bathroom, and these kids yell over, "He's gonna blow up the bathroom! He's gonna blow up the bathroom!"
Sometimes it's not about what your skin color is. It's just rude girls. Girls will be girls, right?
He's going for a walk, and this kid looks over at me and says, "Obama, Obama." I didn't know whether to laugh at him or get angry. I think he was trying to say Osama, but said Obama.
I was the only Indian girl in my elementary school. So when we started studying India, the teachers would ask me if we were teaching the right things. I had no idea. I knew nothing about India. I've never even lived there. I didn't know any more than the Mary next to me.
I have to live for myself because the people who might judge me aren't the ones who are going to be with me at the end of the day. So that's kind of what I'm struggling with. I can really care so much for people. It becomes damaging.
I think the biggest struggle is me. I try to do something else. I want to do something else. But the people around me, society around me, they try to define my life. It's as if they want me to live myself according to them. And that is a struggle with my family, with my parents. So I can either follow society or I can follow my heart. And I'm trying to learn to follow my heart.
I think it's more of humanity. I don't think it's Sikhi versus Americans or others. If people are discriminating, it is a moral issue. I think the whole system is lacking awareness. Why would you tag someone else as they're different? It is their right to be who they are, and it is our right to be who we are.
They're all human beings. We were not born with the intention to hurt others or to discriminate. So why then do I feel like my country is not my home?
This next piece is about aunties, and it's about how sometimes the Gurdwara and the Sikh place of worship is not always the space for spiritual growth.
Ajo sweetie, our husbands have both gone to the Gurdwara meeting. Let's go talk over some chai gulab jamun. Chai gulab jamun? I'll just have to stop. You? Gulab jamun? Pinky, can I be honest with you? Or do you want me to do the truth? You can tell me anything. Anyone's business behind their back. Okay. Pinky, तेरे गुलाब जामुन स्वाद भी नहीं लगे. What? My gulab jamun? My kids love my recipe. Old age is catching up to you. Your taste buds are kaput. And besides, if you want to talk about bad gulab jamun, let's talk about Dimples. She can't even cook a good one. Too much tadka, too much loon, no masala, no mirch, no flavor. Why, Becky, this is why we are. But we can talk about them at any time. Did you hear that little son Pikachu? One day, you know, I don't know what is wrong with that boy. He used to shine bright like. Then he got into college and started getting involved in God knows what. One time, I even saw him hanging I think it was the 34th Street Macy's. She was wearing a dress. She was wearing a dress that didn't even touch her knees. Oh! I don't know what is wrong with this. In my age, my parents said no dating until after marriage. The same goes for my daughter. Get married, let's have all the boyfriends you want. He's 25 years old. When is he going to get married? But how can he get married if he doesn't even have a career? He's still working for his dad. How could he support a wife? Can I tell you something? You can tell me anything. I never talk about anyone's business behind their back. Okay. I heard from Buckley's Masi that Binderjot is dating Sonia. Sonia? Oh, that's what I said. Just compare his family to hers. He's a Ram Gadia. He practically comes from royalty. And now he wants to marry a judge daughter? I don't know what is wrong with kids these days. They have no respect for their parents. They don't even go to the same Gurdwara. Back in my day, boys and girls would never hang out together. And even if they did, I used to get thuppas all the time. Me too. But wait, did you put your name in the adas because you got the piyaz for Bangla? And because your niece Jasmine took her second step yesterday? Sweetie, that is the first thing I did when I came to Asa Divar at 6 in the morning. Okay, sweetie, we have both finished our chat. Let's go back to the Kirtan Darbar and listen to some more Kirtan. Pinky, sometimes I don't even like coming to the Darbar. Too many hypocrites. How can I come to a place where I'm supposed to seek positivity, but there's so many negative people talking about each other? Sweetie, I totally agree with you. But today, Principal Dr. Paisab, Sant Baba Suran Sharma Singh is here. Did you hear why we singing? He played to the tune of Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. That is my favorite tune ever. Pinky, before we go inside, do you think I can have just one laddu? I really want to, but I'm afraid people will think I'm a Moti Janani. Sweetie, you are a Moti Janani. But you're my Moti Janani. Have the laddu. You're a beautiful woman. People can say what they want. Chalo, chalo.
One in 4 women in the United States report experiencing violence by a current or former spouse or boyfriend at some point in their life. In the South Asian community, they say 2 in 5 South Asian female immigrants are survivors of domestic violence. Domestic abuse happens. It is real, and it certainly happens within the Sikh community. This next piece is about the harsh reality that so many women face around the world every single day. I think I was in shock the first time it happened. This wasn't like him. This
wasn't the man I married. These things, they don't happen to me. I went to bed that night, not knowing how to feel. And I said, it was for me. So I took a couple of apples. It felt better. I still slept next to him. To be honest, I didn't really know where else I could sleep. I don't even know what I did that first time. It was wrong. We had just been arguing over where we were going to send our son to school the following year. I let it go. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't want my kids to find out. He was their father. I didn't want my mother-in-law to know. I didn't want to create any further tension in the house. But then, it happened again. And again. I would try and find excuses to stay at work longer. I used to work as a manager of a publishing company. And my kids, well, they could stay in school until 6 p.m. But I used to keep them up early. And we'd go home, I'd cut them a pear to cover the rest of the night. But now, they were safer in school. And I was safer at work. I would even take the long way home. I knew that I was going to get late making dinner, but I just wanted to be out of that house. Do you know what it feels like to not feel safe in your own home?
I knew what was going on, but what could I do? He's my son. He has the right to discipline his wife the way he thinks fit. I didn't want him to fear. I didn't know how he's going to react. In fact, I didn't know how to approach the situation.
The first time I heard she was being abused, my faith died a little inside. I went to her. Do you want to leave? I can take you to a safe place. I can get your kids out of danger. I can help. Please, let me help you. I wanted to leave. I never saw myself facing this. Never in 1,000 years. I don't even know what triggered it in me. He wasn't like this when he first saw me. I used to feel safe. But then something changed. At first, he would do things when the kids were sleeping. But then, he stopped caring whether they were around or not. They were so young. 7 and 10. And then I started to fear for my children. What if he went further? What if he did something to them? What if they grew up and thought this was normal? She wanted to leave. So badly, she wanted to leave.
She'll be fine. She has to be fine. Her parents are far off. Where else she would go? She has to stay. I'll try talking to him, but she has to stay.
I left. I know that my family is far away. I know they may not have approved. I know all of this. But I had to leave. For my kids, I had to leave. I don't even know what to do, where to go. So I went to my center. And they supported me. The women, they understood. Somehow, they understood. When we went to court to file a restraining order, the judge told us, The most common last name we hear for domestic violence cases in this city is Singh. Singh, our name, the Guru's name. Singh, strength, courage, power, integrity, dignity. Singh, abuser, rapist, suppressor, manipulator.
I couldn't believe it. One fine morning, I woke up and she has left. My son was in shock as well. He loved her. He didn't know how it all happened, how things became so bad. But I suppose she did what was best for her. I don't know how she's doing. I don't think she should have left. Maybe we could have fixed everything.
I don't know why some men feel they have the right to suppress, to overpower women, verbally or physically. I don't necessarily think it's unique to Punjabi men, but this is the community I know, and I see it happen too often. I help where I can, but I cannot force anything. I can't believe how many women go through this so often. At first, I stayed for my children. But then, I left for them. It wasn't easy. I had to start my life all over again. They don't tell you these things when you get married. They don't tell you anything. They don't tell you what all you'll have to deal with. That marriage is not the answer to everything. That a man is not a ticket to happiness. But I got out. And I'm going to make sure more women get out. We shouldn't be afraid of our sassang. We shouldn't be afraid of what our Gurdwara Sangats might think. We are women, independent and strong. We are mothers of children who deserve a safe upbringing. We will raise our kids by ourselves rather than subject them to subordination. A pain I thought only existed in hell. We are bolder than we think. We are stronger than we know. We will fight back. We are coming. Don't talk too loud. Always pretty. Tell you to do the dishes. Oh, what the kudiyan da kaam honda. Do you like my dress? Baki di dress kithe reh gayi? Kapda kaam reh gaya si? Don't forget your fair and lovely. Je tu kali hogi, tere munda labna bahut aukha ho jana. Can I go to dinner with my friend? अपने छोटे वीर में भी ना ले जा. I don't want to go to law school. फिर ब्याह कब करना? Sometimes I wish I was a boy. क्यों? कुड़ियां तो सब तो चंगियां होंदियां. This next piece is about a topic that many of us are not okay with or simply not familiar with. But it's something that exists within our community and on the broader American landscape. I urge that you all listen, that you all hear the story, that you come with an open mind. This piece is based on a few conversations with a few people who were brave enough to share something very personal with me. I don't really know how it happened, or when it started in particular. In the beginning, we were just friends. Logic, practicality, morals, and values are what I was raised with, or what I thought I was raised with. These were morals and values that taught me who I should be with, but not who I should love. I was never taught who I could or could not love. Instead, I was taught who I could be with, based on religion, culture, and past. My options dwindled down to a pretty small pool. But no one said anything about gender. No one said anything about it because it wasn't even considered. It would be ridiculous, outrageous, downright insane. And yet, here I am sharing this with you as a woman in love with another woman. You can't see my ability to love in the way that I dress, or walk, or talk. You can only see it in my heart, a heart that cannot be controlled. A heart that was given to me to love who I do, and I love her. We denied it, suppressed it, hated each other because of it. But we can't stay away from it. I want to be with her despite everything, all the obstacles. My friends, my family, my community. Despite it all, I can't imagine myself with anybody else. She completes a part of me. She brings out a new side of me. She knows me like nobody else. She makes me happy. You know, sometimes I'll try to imagine myself with some perfect man, rich, successful, that my family approves of. And I just can't. I don't have the ability to choose that truthfully. This is a relationship like any other, but not one that's accepted in society, and especially not within the Sikh community. I struggle every day. I struggle with the angry neighbor who will mumble rude comments as I walk down the street, just holding her hand. I struggle with who I can and cannot share my relationship with. But mostly, I struggle with the future. And the thought that maybe my family and my community won't love me anymore. That my identity is crippled by mother. My father's gonna kick me out of the house. And that's why I share my story. Because it's a story of love. Maybe it's a little different, maybe with unusual characters, but a love story, just the same. Our last piece is based on several people's experiences about what happens when we preach love, acceptance, and respect, but don't take the time to create that atmosphere within our own spaces of worship.
I'm trying to tell you why I left that conference. Why I've never really felt at home in a community of people to which I'm supposed to belong. I want to tell you that I've never really felt sick enough. And growing up being sick meant kids bullying me a good life. My family's outcasting mine because we weren't the right path. My family and I moved to Ohio when I was in the 6th grade. Until then, the smells and the colors and the understanding of the 6th of Camacho Pradesh was all I knew. And that was home. Home was home was going to the football every day after school because that's what my dad did. And I wanted to be just like him. Ohio was different. Ohio was about the super sick and the super not sick. And I was somewhere in the middle, unacceptable for anybody. Ohio didn't understand my immigration. The fact that I didn't dubbed me as the confused child didn't understand the truth. I'd be honest with you, was apparently confused. I grew up reading Chucky's South every single morning. I worked in the South Caribbean, playing in my house every single morning. And when it wasn't on, I felt very uneasy. These were the sounds and the rituals and the routines embedded within me. And growing up, I longed for more sick friends. My parents taught me sick. They taught me to love our faith, find strength in our teaching. Knowledgeable, get it though, wonderful. Remember the divine, work hard, share your money, wealth, knowledge. They never taught me about ego or judgment. So when the egos of the aunties and the uncles and the kids that took tried so hard to put me down, I turned my back on sick. Sick meant judgment, hypocrisy, exclusivity. Sick meant being asked what I was even trying to do when I was serving among the pretty boy shoes. Why would you want to do save life? It doesn't keep fair. As a selfless service, it's something exclusive to Sikhs who keep their head. As a selfless service, it's something exclusive to Sikhs at all. Sikh meant Auntie gossiping so much that my mom stopped going to football. Because for her, it was easier to talk to God in private than in halls filled with mass religiosity. Sikh meant my sister cutting her hair. Or eat something for a religion that didn't know how to love God. Sikh meant uncles caring more about money and power than about the sustainability and welfare of our houses of worship. Sikh meant hurt, and then pain, and memories of being in one. Sikh meant that as much as I wanted to be a disciple of this world, I was too jaded by a judgment for Sunday to do so. When I left Ohio for college, I left completely broken. I left devoid of faith. When I arrived at college, I was a vessel of spite. But like a giant tidal wave, they came crashing back at freshman orientation. 4 years I spent at an institution, nurturing my confidence. And you know what? It was my white friends, and my black friends, and my Muslim friends, and my Catholic friends that built me back up. They gave me the confidence to follow the values on which I was raised. And I discovered something. That it wasn't the faith that I found for them, but the people I encountered within. What I'm trying to tell you is that I turned my back on Sikh to find myself. And now I'm turning to the Sikh community to find family and friends. So, that conference, this past January, I went to that conference. I thought it would make me brave. I thought it would be a valiant effort. They should pass. Prove it to them all. Screw Ohio! I left after one day. I left after one day. There was too many Sikhs. Too many people could close doors on me. After my hair, after my Punjabi. I left after one day because I was too afraid to find out if things had actually changed or not. You know, I haven't been friends with another Sikh person in 10 years. I'm a grown man, too afraid to face those who look like you. Because for me, fear is a sword that I keep right by my side. That attacks unexpectedly. It could be an uncle's dirty look, an uncle's arrogant tone, a friend's judgmental stare. Now I realize that fear is something we create for ourselves. That we use to pierce ourselves with over and over again, while we hold progress at arm's length. What I'm trying to tell you is that bullying doesn't just occur when a white boy pulls off a brown boy's fucked up. That there are things our own community does to people within that community. It can't be easily forgotten with time. I was robbed of the comfort that every boy and every girl deserves when they go to the Gurdwara, to learn Japji Sahib, to do seva. Bullying hurt me bad. Now I realize I can't judge my entire community based off one day. Because that is judging me. And you're sick, you're hurting me. You sat here listening to me. The least I can do is listen back.
There's a lot of thank yous that need to be given out. This is a really crowded place. That's exciting. A huge thank you to all of you who came out to the show. I really appreciate it. I'm across the country, away from home, and yet you all took the time tonight to come out and watch this production. I really, really appreciate it. I'd like to recognize a few people who made this project possible. Sikh Foundation, the Swami Network, Jagada, Surat, MedTech, Sikh Coalition, and of course, SALDEF. And a special shout out to SALDEF. We have cast members on stage, and we have a lot of people in the audience. And a lot of my interviews would not have been possible without this organization, so thank you. And with any of these organizations, like the incredible Civitas working with them, really, really made this project possible. It's a completely grassroots thing that's been created. Also, thank you to all of you. We got California. We have, there's a lot of people in California. So I appreciate y'all being here. And a lot of Skype with us, a lot of Google Hangouts to make this happen. So that's fantastic. I also want to thank my parents who are watching on live stream right now, and my family. Hello! This is the first show we haven't been at, and it's with their support that I was able to even take off a year before going to grad school and saying, okay, I just want to travel the country and interview people, and yeah. And they let me do it, and it was a great experience, and they really encouraged me to do this. And Guggen, where's Guggen? He's not on stage. He flew out from California. It's my cousin. He came out. Thank you. And again, thank you to you. This really is a labor of love, this entire project. As you know, I want to make it as accessible for all audiences as possible. So if you identify with anything, if you appreciated this night, I highly encourage you to donate outside. Guggen will be there. You can talk to him. We have we have received books for tax refundable purposes. And I think that's it. And thank you for coming. Really? Okay.
Before we leave, we want to thank you for bringing us all together.